Welcome to the Big Life Podcast, where dreams aren't just imagined, they're built brick by brick, belief by belief. Hosted by Neal Oates Jr. and Robin Lewis, this show is your invitation to discover your amazing capabilities, invest in your growth, and unleash your potential in ways you've only dreamed of. Join Neal and Robin as they dive deep into stories, insights, and tools designed to inspire you to show up big, live intentionally, and give yourself away for the betterment of those around you. Get ready to rise to what you're truly worthy of. The Big Life starts now.
Well, welcome back to the Big Life Podcast. Our listeners, we're so excited to be here with you today. My name is Robin Lewis, and I have my co-host here with me, Mr. Neal Oates Jr. How you doing, Neal?
I am doing fantastic, sir. Another day in paradise.
Sir, yes, and it's so good to be back together with you again. You know, for you, our listeners, we do this to add value to you, to equip you, to empower you, so that you can add value, equip, and empower others. And today we have a really good topic for you. I think really important topic. We call it the secret to a thriving business, and that's upskilling for success. So practically, we're going to be talking about how to help employees to grow their skills and stay engaged at the same time. Because here's the reality. If you're not developing your people, you're risking losing them.
So, Robin, I know that we as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we are coming from a place of experience as we have these conversations, right? As we share with our audience, our listeners and viewers. And I think it's important for us to understand that there's a fine line between us empowering them, us helping them create and develop their skills so that they can get better, and us being afraid that if we coach them up, if we train them, if we get their skills increased, that they might leave us. And I know that your position is our job to equip our people, to prepare them for everything that's out in front of them. But the numbers really back up what you just said, Robin. So according to a Gallup study, only 32% of U.S. employees are actively engaged at work. So that means that 7 out of 10 people are either disengaged or, even worse, they have completely checked out.
That's crazy, man. Think about that, folks. 7 out of 10 people are either disengaged or checked out. You know, Neal, as I think about that, have you ever gone to a place of business? Maybe it's a store, a restaurant, a bakery, whatever, wherever you might find yourself, and you find people that are just disengaged, like they've just checked out. Like you wonder,
Robin, we can see it, right? Because we go there and the employees are doing this right here, right? And they see you, but they like, yeah, okay, it's not more interesting than what's here. Or they don't know the basics of the way the organization runs. When the answer is, I don't know. And that's it. Say, hey, excuse me, where can I? They're like, I don't know. Oh, that's it? So you have checked out. And this is with no judgment that we have this conversation in this episode. It's from a place of help and improvement. And I know that we have been the benefactors of receiving help at different times in our careers as well, Rob.
without a doubt. And so it's really about, and we're sharing this up front with you because sometimes we might not realize that this is happening. Gallup also found that 87% of millennials are, and of course, you know, millennials are a major part of our workforce today, right? Well, 87% of them say that professional development and career growth opportunities are absolutely a must when choosing a job. And the reality is, if they don't find it in the place where they're working, they don't stay there. they leave.
But here's what happens. Then we blame them, right? We say that they are the reason, that it's their fault. And
I
I
hear it
think
all the
that we
time.
have to be cautious, and we have to say, well, listen, it's not me, it's them. They were uncommitted. Well, no, they were committed to growth. They did want something. And so exactly what you said. And so here's what McKinsey research shows, that companies who prioritize employee development are almost 2.5 times more likely to outperform their competitors financially. So it's not just about keeping people happy, Robin. It's a key to business success. And so even if you're not the person who's going to shout and get all boisterous about, yes, I've helped people do better, I've helped them develop their skills, it's just a good business practice, right? If you will train your people, if you will empower them, if you would give them the skills and help them develop professionally, it's going to end up in your pockets as the business owner. And I think that is something that we often forget as leaders and owners.
It's so true. It's so true. Right. So there's a return on our investment there. But it even goes beyond that, because it's all about building a vibrant culture. It's about, creating a place that people want to be a part of. When people see that they have a future for themselves inside of an organization, then that brings more energy. They bring more loyalty, they bring more creativity, which leads to innovation. And so when we have engaged employees, then that means that we're going to have a better environment.
So, Robin, this is, I think about the times when I didn't have those things that we're talking about right now in the organization. And I know you asked if I had ever gone into a business where the employees had checked out, where they weren't fully engaged, where they were disengaged. Well, I was one of those employees at one of my jobs, right? Where I did not feel the energy. I did not believe that inside of that organization was one that was going to be exciting, right? That was going to help me be better. And I know we're talking about the entire idea of professional development, but as we grow professionally, something happens to the person as well. The person starts to get better. And so that's why today we're going to break down the most effective training and development strategies that you as a leader, as a business owner, can implement to upskill your team and really strengthen engagement long term. And that's what we're after, long term engagement, because that's what's going to yield the greatest return.
And so to our listeners, I hope we've inspired you to recognize that one of your major goals, one of your major roles should be the development of your people. It's one of those things that as business owners, as leaders of any type of organization, whether that's for profit or not for profit, one of the things that we miss is developing people. And so I hope we have encouraged you for this, because it's so important, and it's so easy for us to get caught up in the day to day. It's so easy for us to get caught up in the business part of things that we miss this. I am speaking from experience, Neal. And so I want to I hope our listeners, I want you to tune into that, listeners, because it's very easy for us to overlook. We're going to dive into now to what are some of the things you can focus in on. So we're going to make it easy for you and give you areas that you can know. If you are committed to people development, we're going to tell you how and where to do that. So one of the first areas that really moves the needle significantly is leadership development. So we want to encourage you to focus in on leadership development programs, right? So even if someone isn't a manager, they don't have a position of leadership yet, we are encouraging you to teach leadership. So teach communication, teach decision making, teach vision, help them to understand some of these leadership characteristics. And what it does is that it shows them that they have a potential there. They have a future potential in this organization.
And Robin, so you just mentioned this entire idea of even if someone isn't a manager yet, if they aren't the leader yet, that we want to be proactive. We want to go ahead and start teaching them or showing them the value of leadership, communication, decision making, of vision casting. Because as I mentioned about the McKinsey research, that organizations with strong leadership are almost 2.5 times more likely to financially outperform their peers. But what happens is we as business owners often wait too late to develop our people. We wait until they get the promotion, until they get the title, to then start teaching them how to be a manager, how to be a leader. And at that point, they start looking around, and their colleagues and coworkers start looking around and saying, they have the title, but they don't have the skills, Robin. I mean, you made her a manager. She doesn't know how to manage. So that's something where, as you mentioned, we always want to be proactive with that.
Yeah, it's so true. And McKinsey research found that organizations with strong leadership development pipelines, so you're developing leaders before you need them, right? That they're 2.4 times more likely to financially outperform their peers.
Absolutely. That's good stuff.
Significant numbers.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, and Neal, I can tell you what happened. What happened to me is I'm sharing with our listeners now an actual experience, is that where our business outgrew us. And so we were doing business and we were doing well. We were serving people well. And so what happened was we were getting more people that wanted to do business with us. And it really kind of got crazy. And I did not spend much time at all developing people. And eventually it got to a place.
Hold on, Robin, hold on. But that's the dream, right? That's the goal of every business, is to have this massive growth, right? And to have people want to come in and do business with them. So the dream was coming true, but continue, because you were experiencing this dream. Yay, we're doing so good that people want to work with us. What happened? And you were alluding to it right there.
Exactly. So what happened was we couldn't handle the business. The point is that we did not have the leadership and the skilled people to take care of the amount of business that was coming in. And what happened is that we started losing business. People were calling and saying, hey, we put in for a request for a quote and it's been 3 days now. What's going on over there, Robin? And so, that's a story for another time. But the point is that I see it, Neal, I see it. And I'm talking to our business owners and our leaders today. Hear us today. Because I see it. I have vendors, I have companies that I have worked with over the years that I see the same thing happen to them. So their business is growing. I am one of their customers. They're doing really well. And because they're doing so really, really well, their business grows. And then they get to a point where now I am leaving them, or I'm having conversations with them because the level of service and the level of engagement that we've had in the past has fallen off. And the way to combat that is by doing what we're suggesting today. So you're developing leaders. The next one that we want to talk about is technical development, or if they have specific roles, you want to train them in those roles, right? So we had account managers, we had customer service reps, we had insurance agents, and you want to provide the specific skills that they need to be equipped. You want your employees to be truly equipped. And when they're truly equipped, they stay motivated and they stay loyal. So encourage that, not just encourage that, but be intentional about technical training.
And that loyalty, that's something that we want. We mentioned that earlier. We want loyalty, but we think about gaining loyalty the wrong way. And what the Gallup report shows, that employees who have opportunities to learn and grow are almost 3 times more likely to commit long-term to the organization. What people are saying is that, hey, employees are saying, if you will not only give me leadership opportunities, or at least train me for leadership, but then give me the technical skills, help me to know what I'm supposed to do. I'm okay with having big expectations and goals, but I just want you to show me make sure that I'm equipped and prepared to do my job. And I think that a lot of times we as owners, we aren't equipping and preparing our people to do their jobs, their technical jobs, the specifics of it. One, because we don't know what those are. But then two, we say, well, we'll let them figure it out, but then we're holding them accountable to do a thing that we have not taught them to do. When you were talking about whether it's marketing or if it's some type of rep job or some very specific task, if we have not given them that training in the technical skill or specific procedure, then how can we hold them accountable to perform at the standards that we expect them to?
And Neal, is another mistake I made, and I think it's time. Sometimes we allow time to get in the way. Like I said earlier, we're involved in the business. So if we have a lot going on, it's very hard for us to take the time to do that type of thing. And then the second thing, you said it, which I just want to, probably there are listeners out there that can resonate with this. A lot of times I assumed that they knew. Or I may have said it once and thought that after saying it that way, that, hey, they got it. And, you and I know that one word, we can use one word that somebody might hear that word. It's just like the other day, somebody said a name to me, Neal. I heard the name, but in my mind, I pictured somebody else. I don't know if that probably doesn't happen to Neal Oates, but
yes, it does all the time.
And I caught myself in the middle of the conversation. And I had to say to the person, do you know you mentioned so-and-so? I heard so-and-so, but I was picturing somebody else in my mind. Think about the miscommunication that could take, or the misunderstanding that could take place there if I didn't catch it. And so a lot of times we might use one word that somebody interprets differently. They see that word, it means something else to them. So we can't take that for granted. So we have to overtrain is the way that I would see it. So moving on,
Robin, hold on. Before we continue, I just want to make our audience aware that when we talk about that we're learning these things and that we're sharing from personal experience, we've talked about leadership development and then technical skills. And in both areas, Robin has admitted that he's had to learn the hard way, that he has been guilty of violating these two. And so I say that because I'm right there with you, Robin, and me assuming, me not taking the time. And the reason I wanted to pause here is to let you know, as a listener or a viewer, that you are not the exception, that we are going to have to learn and live our ways through some of these things. But if you have not made these mistakes yet, it's our hope that by listening to this episode of the Big Life Podcast, maybe we can save you from some headache and heartache.
Yes, and especially in a world today where a lot of companies, a lot of organizations struggle with getting good people to work with them, to work for them.
Yes, sir.
Or work alongside of them, however you see it. And so especially if you have them already there, you want to do the best that you can do to keep them. And these are the things that you need to do, because if you don't, they're going to go somewhere else or they're going to be disengaged. And so the other one, Neal, you talked a little bit about this already, and it's about personal growth and soft skills training. So we're talking about things like emotional intelligence. We're talking about things like time management. We're talking about resilience. And, these things are investing in people personally. We're investing in the whole person. And what this does is it drives loyalty. And it drives higher performance. Neal, one of the things that I pride myself in is that we've been investing in the personal growth of people over the years. And it's such a pleasure to me to run into people that worked for us and have moved on in some way, shape, or form, and to hear them stop and look me in the eye and thank me. Because of where they are today, a lot had to do with the personal growth and development and leadership growth and development that they experienced while they were with us. I had a friend of mine that, she might even be listening to this podcast today, that started her own agency recently. And I can't tell you the pride that I feel in seeing that. And, there are times when I think about that person, there are times where I didn't serve them the best also, right? So we're not perfect. But one of the areas that I serve them is to believing them and to help them to grow and develop and now to see them going on to become an entrepreneur and continuing to make a significant impact in our community and in her life and her family's life. That's so rewarding. And even if people aren't with you, the point is that what you're pouring into them will stay with them for a lifetime.
And while that is great, we have conflicting experiences, right? So, one, like research shows that organizations that invest in what we call soft skills report up to 12% higher productivity, right? So, that's momentum that fuels growth across the board. So, that's what the numbers show. But then the feeling or the implementation in many industries and in many organizations is that investing in soft skills is a waste of time, right? Investing in emotional intelligence is a waste of time or resources. And so we will see the research and the numbers, but then we will have the old archaic style leadership where it's, hey, you're getting paid to do a job. Do the job. We're not trying to make you all warm and fuzzy, right? We don't care about time management. Just come in here. The only time I need you to manage is between the time that you are on the clock. And so, Robin, really quickly, I want you to come from both sides of, because I know I'm seeing and I've seen how much you invest in training and looking at the personal development side, and I'm right there with you on that. But then on the other side, it's okay, well, these are the ways that we were taught, because I know I was taught leadership and business ownership a different style and different form. And so maybe some of our leaders and owners who are listening, we're going to have to do a lot of work ourselves to unlearn the way that we were taught to lead our people, especially as we have different generations in the workforce. So even before we continue, because we know how we want to get the employees engaged and to train them, but what's something that we might have to do as the owners looking in that mirror when it comes to either unlearning or shifting or changing our expectations of ourselves or the employees that we work with?
Yes, that's a really good question. So we're going to stop and pause and just consider that for a moment. What I would encourage our listeners to do, Neal, is to consider themselves. I can almost guarantee that you had to have some of this development. That there is just think about the personal growth that you may have experienced, or think about the technical skills that you received and how it made an impact in your performance, in your productivity. And recognize that it's going to be the same for others. It does not just happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't work to just say, go do it. And you have well-meaning people that if all we say to them is just go do it, they're going to give that their interpretation of that. And if they don't have the skill set, if they don't have the mindset, if they don't have the tools, the resources to be able to go and do it, then their best more than likely would not measure up. More than likely will not be, what to your expectation. So I think of put yourself in their shoe. In other words, and we did an episode, Neal. I would encourage that listener to actually go back and listen to it, and it's on equipping, because we one of the things that we want to really get good at is equipping others, because we're as leaders we can't do it all ourselves. How many of you have experienced organizations where everything goes through the leader? The leader has to be the one to make all the decisions. The leader has to be the one to make sure everything is going right. The leader has to be the one. Well, what happens is when everything rolls up to just that one leader, what happens is that puts a lid on your organization. And so, I think it comes back to just understanding, Neal, the upside, the potential, but then also understanding the downside and recognizing that whether we like it or not, it's something that we have to then get better at. And what I would encourage you to do, the last thing, Neal, I know you didn't ask for all of this, but the last thing that I would say to that listener is to get a coach or a mentor yourself. Get somebody that can help you, to guide you in this regard, because it's going to serve you. It's going to serve your company. It's going to serve those you lead. It's going to serve your vision. It's going to serve your dream. It's going to serve you living into the big life. So back to you,
So
brother.
actually that rolls right into what I wanted you to elaborate on a little bit more, is because once we look at those leadership skills and then like the communication, the vision, once we go from leadership and then we come into the technical skills, we've got that piece. We're helping them then with those soft skills, the things that's unsexy but necessary, especially for those of us who might have more of an archaic style of leadership. Then you just mentioned coaching and mentorship programs. Would you just elaborate on that just a little bit more? Because we don't want to just glaze over it. We want our listeners, especially our owners, right? Our business owners and our leaders to understand the value, because like the Bible says, oftentimes we need to be reminded, like remember, remember, remember. And when you talk about coaching and mentorship programs, I think that if we're honest with ourselves, we'll look back and we'll remember how important those were. But oftentimes we forget what impact that has had on our development as owners and leaders, Rob.
Without a doubt. So I think giving employees a coach or a mentor not only helps them to develop skills, but it sends a powerful message to them, Neal. It says, we believe in you. We need you. We see the future of our company in, with, and through you, so much so that we're going to help you by giving you a coach and a mentor or a mentor, right? And it sends, so it's not only are you helping the person, but you're also sending a message to them. And, I think I was so impressed, I follow tennis and my dad follows tennis. So he and I have some good conversation around this. But Novak Djokovic, who's arguably the GOAT when it comes to tennis, the greatest of all time, he's at a stage in his life where he's outperformed other tennis players in several categories, right? Outperformed Roger Federer, outperformed Rafael Nadal, right? Which are two of the other people that would be in that argument. But, just recently, he got another coach. And, what it says to me is that here's a high performer and he is still looking for a way to even get better. And so coaching and mentoring goes a long way towards helping your employee, and it sends an amazing message to them as well.
That message of we believe in you, that I believe in you, that I am committing, that I am putting something behind my words. When I say I believe in you as an owner to an employee, I know what it felt like to have those words spoken to me, right? And I will say that I stayed in an organization because they believed in me. And there were other opportunities that came about, but the idea of having mentorship and coaching, it builds retention, right? I wanted to stay there, and it was more about their care for me than those KPIs, those key performance indicators, those metrics. Did I hit my numbers? Because what I found was I hit my numbers because they believed in me, and therefore they wanted to keep me, and I wanted to stay. And it was this upward spiral, Robin, but something as small as I believe in you. I'm going to invest my time in you. I'm going to give you a coach. I'm going to walk alongside you in this journey. It changed everything for me.
Yes, sir. There's no question about it. And I think as leaders and business owners, I want you to catch this, because oftentimes we're looking at, investing in something that is more concrete, but the reality is that when the individual just feels like what Neal just described, that here's a company that really cares about me, not just the KPI, not just the business profits and so on, but they really care about me as an individual, what it does for that person. And then in turn, the point is that we are better for it. The KPIs are better. the indicators they improve, the performance improves. And that's the part that I think a lot of times we have to try and convince people, because it's not right in front of them. You know what I mean, Neal? And
Absolutely.
so, as we move on, I want to encourage our listeners too to not overlook, cross training and job rotation. That's also a good thing, because it lets employees experience different parts of the organization. Sometimes we recognize areas that we don't want to be a part of, and we have more appreciation for the people who do it.
There we go, Robin. All of a sudden, those people that we were like, man, they have it so easy. And once we start cross training and do that little rotation, we're like, ooh, you do you, baby, because you're doing a heck of a job. I realize what I like and what you just said. I realize what I don't like and what I'm not skilled at. And it's going to prevent that burnout too, right? It might prevent burnout, but like you said, it also will give an appreciation. But we also know that it is going to make the workforce more resilient. Would you agree?
Yes, sir, 100%. And it also, prepares future leaders who can then step into broader roles. So as they get exposed to different areas, it also helps them to, have a better handle on things, and maybe they get the hunger, or have the knowledge to be able to lead people that might be in different roles than they were.
So Robin, we've covered a lot, but do you have one or two just additional strategies that you might mention to our audience? Because we know leadership development, we know the whole part about the technical skills or the specific training. We've talked about mentorship and coaching as well as those soft skills. But could there be one or two, and then when you just mentioned the cross training and job rotation, maybe one or two other strategies that maybe our business owners might want to consider as they upskill their employees?
Yeah, two more powerful strategies to mention, Neal. One is to have problem solving workshops, and include employees in the innovation. And so that might look like, just having a focus group. Hey, we're having this problem, and you're helping people to get together and be a part of solving the problem that the company is facing. So it's not just left to you, or just the leadership, but you're involving others in that process. It also energizes people, and the creativity that the different perspectives, the different temperaments, the different skill sets bring actually can help bring good solutions to problems that you are having.
On that, Robin, though, you have to be a secure owner, a secure leader to even want to have an innovation and problem solving workshop style. Because what if it's revealed that you are the problem, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
so you're talking about the creativity and wanting people to feel involved to shape the solution. But me as the business owner, I have to have some of that humility or a lot of humility in order to even initiate a program or a workshop like that.
And by the way, Neal, you just bring up a good subject that we can actually talk about on another episode. But I want to highlight it so our listeners don't miss it, because sometimes I am the problem, Neal. That's a reality. Sometimes as the leader, as the owner, am the problem, or I'm fueling the problem, and I'm not aware that I'm even helping to fuel that problem or creating the problem in some cases.
Mhm.
And so we need to have people around us, and we need to be open to receiving feedback from people to help us to see what we might not be seeing. We're not doing it intentionally. I
Absolutely.
wasn't doing it intentionally. But so it's such a good point, like, yeah, sometimes that's a good reason to actually create the workshops, because we might need to receive that type of feedback. The last thing to touch on, and we see it happening more and more in the workplace now. If I can be honest, I tried to do some of this, but I could have done so much more when I look back. And that's for wellness and resilience programs. Like we started a thing where we got everybody Fitbits, and we were starting to, compete against people in terms of number of steps that we take. And, we're trying to help encourage healthy habits and help healthy lifestyles. That's just one example. But again, when employees feel cared for, personally, they perform a whole lot better professionally.
And I think that that's a part that we neglect. And it's not because we have ill intent. It's just that so many times our focus is on the business, on the bottom line, making sure that we have the resources coming in, that we're providing exceptional service for our customers or our clients. But we really must take care of our people, our team. So here's what the bottom line is, Robin, and to our listeners. If you are not actively growing your team, you're accidentally shrinking it, right? And so that goes back to you're either growing or dying, right? There is no such thing as stagnation. And so upskilling and engagement, they aren't extras. So we can't look at what we have shared today as, oh, that would be a nice to have. It's a benefit. The reality is that everything we have shared here today is essential. We must accept that reality.
Exactly. And so, folks, as we wind it down, as what we're suggesting to you is that as you build leadership and you develop leadership skills, and as you develop technical skills and help people to grow personally and look out for people's overall well-being, you don't just create better employees. You create thriving, sustainable organizations that will continue to grow, and the KPIs will get better and better, and you'll enjoy coming to work and you'll make an impact. People that come and do business with you, whether that's in person or online or wherever that, however people experience you, they're going to experience that. You know the saying, how you treat your employees is how your employees treat your customers. And so what you're going to have is you're going to have a massive fan base of customers that are so happy, and they're going to be referring you to their family and friends, and your business is just going to continue to grow and grow. And so we hope that this episode added value to you today. If it did, we ask for you to share this with somebody else, some other business owner or leader that you know that may benefit from hearing this type of discussion. We're glad that you're here with us. And Neal, any parting words before we close out?
So the only thing I want to share with our audience is that we have a responsibility to our employees. As business owners, we have a responsibility and an opportunity to put them in a better place financially, professionally, but also personally if we will take ownership for our position, because I do believe that we are going to be held to a higher standard. And if we take full responsibility and take full advantage of the opportunity, I think our workplaces are better. I think the lives of our employees and our teams are better. And then I think that makes the world better.
Yes. So please, if you found value, please leave a comment. If you want to add or take away from this, please leave a comment. Share this with somebody else. If you'd like to dive into any of these subjects a little bit more, you can reach out to Neal or I as well. This is our passion, and we're well equipped now, not just from an experiential standpoint, having gone through it, but we're also connected with Maxwell Leadership and other organizations that we have a tremendous amount of resources to help you as business owners and leaders in this regard. And so, as we always close out our show, just remember that we love you. God loves you, and we love you, and there's nothing you can do to change that. And until the next time we see you, remember, we're right there with you. Peace.
Peace.